And he keeps saying it, and he keeps saying it, and people are still in a state of disbelief. I told the voters that if I was elected, I was going to do this, and I was going to do that, and I was going to do this, and I was going to do that. Now, the voters, American citizens, heard it. And guess what? A lot of them like what the fuck he's saying. Now, somebody said, well, how could Trump win? Now, I'm going to get back into my African American thing.
Okay, yeah.
The reason that Trump won because you had a whole lot of white people that were pissed off. That's why he won. And that's why he'll win again. But you see, the mainstream media and the administrative state, they don't hear that. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden.
Black Lives shirt, nice. Like your shirt.
But Hillary Clinton said it when she said you can take Trump supporters and you can put them in a basket of deplorables.
Right.
I said, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Those deplorables are voters. Those deplorables are citizens.
Right.
Their understanding of how things were going to be was going to be the way it was. Everybody, oh shit, Trump won. What the bleep? Now, I said all along, I said Trump is going to win. Michael Moore said Trump was going to win. No, Trump can't win. Yes, he can. Well, how do you know Trump going to win? I said, did you see those rallies? Did you see all those people in those stadiums, you understand, fighting to get in to hear that man talk? And here's the difference. Biden supporters, I say 3/4 of them might be citizens. Every last Trump supporter is a citizen. Every last one of them.
So that's another thing, just like we was talking about earlier. So a black person who votes for Trump, they call him, you're stupid, you're a traitor.
Okay. Here's what I say to those African Americans who say that African Americans who support Trump are stupid and traitors. Let's take a look at Chicago. Let's take a look at Baltimore. Let's take a look at Cleveland. Let's take a look at Cincinnati. These are all cities that have significant. Let's take a look at Flint, Michigan.
Wow. Someone said this man is a great thinker.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's take a look at all those cities that are being run by Democrats. And not only are they being run by Democrats, they're being run by African American Democrats. See, but what has happened, you see, I'm going to tell you something. I'm old enough to remember when that venerable politician named George Corley Wallace, he stood in front of the University of Alabama and he didn't want to let that black student in. But he said after he had gone through somewhat of a reformation, why aren't you running as a Republican or a Democrat? And George Wallace said there ain't a dime's worth of difference between the National Republicans and the National Democrats. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are neoliberals. Kasich and the rest of those rhino Republicans are neoconservatives. Now, here's what Donald Trump said that got everybody else. And you have to understand why people get pissed. He said, make America great again. Oh, that's a racist statement. Excuse me? I'm an African American, you know, and I've been around a little while. Now, I find it hard to discern what was racist about that statement. Immigration, first and foremost, should be of benefit or should benefit American citizens. Those international agreements, especially those trade deals, really impacted negatively on African American men, because what happened was that a lot of those manufacturing jobs in those cities where you had large African American populations were shipped to China. And who did it? The Democrats. Bill Clinton, the first black president, was the one who signed off on NAFTA. Now, Ross Perot, who was running at the time, said of NAFTA, "I hear the sucking sound of American jobs going south of the border." Now, here's something that Trump did that I love. The TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority, which was started during the Great Depression to bring electricity to the Appalachian states, the hillbilly states. It was started under Roosevelt to bring electricity, you understand, to those areas that didn't have it. Make a long story short, the TVA has now grown into a multi-billion-dollar, concern. And so the chairman or the president of the TVA recently fired American technicians who work for the TVA and told those American technicians, those citizens that he fired, that what you're going to do is that you are going to train your replacements.
Wow.
And guess where the replacements were coming from? Mumbai. He was going to replace American citizens as technicians with the TVA in order to bring in technicians from India, and then had the nerve to turn around and tell those American technicians that they had to train their replacements.
Wow.
Trump found that out and said, "What the whoop?" He fired them. And then sent a letter.
Yeah, someone has a question. Sorry to cut you. Someone says they respect everything that all he has passed for black people and everything that he has done, but what do you think about the lack, therefore, after the police shootings? I guess the lack of, concern.
Okay, now here's what I'm trying to say to you. Let's take the epicenter of this, George Floyd.
Right.
Who was literally lynched by that insecure, racist white boy who happened to wear a police uniform. Chauvin. That was a straight up lynching. However, he was employed by the Minneapolis Police Department. The Minneapolis Police Department, the city of Minneapolis is run by a Democrat with a Democratic city council and a Democratic mayor. But here is the pièce de résistance, my brother. One of the top contenders for Joe Biden's vice presidential pick was Amy. I never prosecuted a white cop who mistreated a black person, Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar was the district attorney for the county in which Minneapolis is, who had an opportunity to prosecute Mr. Chauvin and failed to do so.
Yeah, someone says so true.
So my question is, don't ask Trump what he's doing or not doing for African Americans. Ask the Democrats what they are doing or not doing for African Americans. Now, I put it to you like this. If I'm a business owner and you're not spending any money in my store, right, don't come and ask me why I don't have the products you don't like, that you like. My response is, well, you don't shop in my store anyway.
Right.
So why should I be concerned about what you like and don't like? Now, African Americans spend a considerable amount of their political capital in the Democratic store and get very little, if anything, in return for it. So, do African Americans complain about what the Democrats are not doing? No, they want to complain about what Donald Trump ain't doing. But you ain't spending any money in Donald Trump's store.
Okay, now what about the people who say, hey, well, Donald Trump is my president, and he's supposed to do this and supposed to do that?
And it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime. There's no such thing as Mother Goose. Politics, my dear sister or brother, is transactional. Now, if you remember, what I said is that African Americans get very little in return for the political capital that they invest in the Democratic Party. However, it was Donald Trump who met with the presidents of the HBCUs, historical black colleges and universities, invited them into the White House, and said in his typical Trumpian way, what can I do for you? The presidents of the historical black colleges and universities said, oh, well, we need some funding.